Welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and I am absolutely pleased to be able to present an episode to you today where we interview the incredible Bev Unitt. Now, Bev and I took a little bit of a tangent here, which we often do when we get chatting. We went off on a little bit of a conversation about some awesome stuff to do with neuro-linguistic programming. Now, this episode is all about your mindset. It's about self-sabotage, and it's about how to train and reprogram the way that your mind works to help you take control of your business and be in charge of what's going on. We talk about those little voices in our head that make life so much more difficult than it needs to be. Now, Bev is filled with information in this space, and she's also got some incredible free tools for us to use that she's been good enough to put forward in this episode as well. So get in and have a listen, have your pen and paper ready, because I can promise you this is going to blow your mind, and she's going to give you some awesome tools to help you manage that self-talk and get in control of your business once and for all. So get in and have a listen. We're going to talk all about mindset with you. We'll see you on the inside. So welcome on in, Bev, and thank you so much for joining us in the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm so excited to have you in here today, and I know that we've got some awesome stuff that you're going to be sharing with everybody. So welcome.
Thank you, Sam. It's an absolute honour, actually. I find it quite a privilege, so thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And I've had the absolute pleasure of being able to get to know you over the last 6 or so months and getting to know, you and your business and a little bit about what you stand for. And it's been really, really amazing to hear, I guess, not only the successes that you had with people, but also the passion that you have about this industry. And we all know I'm passionate about this industry, but I love to meet other people that share that passion as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with direct selling?
Yeah, sure. I actually was the type of person who would never have a direct sales party plan thing to do with me at all. So if you met me a few decades ago, you'd be quite surprised that I've forged a career in direct selling successes and helping people really get out of their own way. So it was 2001 when a friend of mine, who I hadn't seen for ages, catching up for dinner, and I asked her what she was doing. She told me, and I thought, oh, that's weird. I bought her product, fell in love with it. And then she said, you'd be good at this. 3 simple words, you'd be good at this, few words. And I was like, oh, would I? Because I was excited about the product. So away I went. I started, and very quickly I discovered it was a big, big change. Because, Sam, I came from a background in the world of retail and even call centres. And my retail experience had been where I was leading teams. I'd always fallen into leadership quite naturally. Yep. And then suddenly I'm in a different world altogether, and I had to unlearn some things and relearn some things. And I saw that for myself very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I think I even came with a bit of an ego, thinking it'd be a bit easy, but it wasn't. It was simple, but it wasn't easy. I had to think about some things and change some things. So I went on, and over time, so 2001 I started, and over time I grew teams, and I got asked to look after a state, and then I got asked to look after the east coast of Australia. Then I got asked to look after Australia and rewrite the training for success because of the difference I could help people create for themselves.
Yep, I love it.
Oh, and these days, I should say, I'm no longer in the direct sales in the field itself. From 2013, I went out on my own into my own business, which is BU. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you essentially are a coach now for leaders. Is that the best way to describe what you do now?
That's a great way to describe it. Absolutely. So I'm not a marketing coach. I'm not a social media coach. I'm not a business coach as such. I'm competent at a whole lot of things, but I'm a thinking coach, a mindset coach. Yeah. Because, Sam, I've found through not only my own journey, but through the thousands of people that I've been able to help, one of the biggest drivers is they say, I want to have a really good business. I want to have success. And there are some things to do, right? There are some things to do. And you come in with your superb skill of social media, and that is a must. You must do that. But there's something that underpins it. There's either the beliefs, the behaviour that you have will either drive you to do the things you must do. They'll underpin it and help you so you can have a great business, or your thinking, your beliefs will pull you back from doing the things which logically make sense. I must do this. So you'll either have success or not based on the driver of how you're thinking, how your thinking serves you well.
Yeah. So we know mindset is a massively important part of the growth of our direct selling business. And now more than ever, I mean, as we're recording this, we're currently in our homes. We're in a situation where, you know, very much so our focus is on our businesses, but it's also, we're at a point right now where a lot of people are struggling with a very different mindset to what you might have when you take the kids to school and then you essentially go to work. We were just having the conversation. I've got 4 kids at home right now. And, you know, we're also in the middle of trying to run a business. And I know, you know, it's interesting. The whole world is in that same circumstance. And so, although by the time this comes out, things could be very, very different, it's likely that they will be. I think that the situation where our mindset in any time in our life, you know, with whatever is going on for us, is something that we need to be very mindful of. And so I was very excited to talk to you about that today, because yesterday I ran a webinar and I was chatting with you about this before we got started today. And I always ask people for their questions before we go live with the webinar so I can have some to sort of speak into as we go through the training. And a question came up yesterday that I thought was really honest, but it was so real for so many people. And I wanted to speak about that with you today, because this person said to me, my question is, how do I combat self-sabotage? She said, I know I'm going to go in and you're going to teach me amazing stuff. The question is, how do I deal with the fact that I know I'm going to walk away from that webinar and I may or may not implement those things in my business because, you know, for whatever reason, self-sabotage will come into play. And so I thought it would be really great to speak to you today about what to do when you're procrastinating, when you learn something. Because we all know, like you just said, what we should be doing in our business. We watch leaders, we watch other successful people around us. We learn things. And honestly, I think even if we didn't do any of that, in our gut, in our heart, we would know what we should be doing. The question is whether we're actually doing it, and how do we deal with the mindset around that? So I thought this would be a great thing to chat to you about today.
Yeah, love to help. And I, you know, just kudos to that fabulous, fabulous person for actually putting it on the table, because the question she asked, she's languaged it for other people who perhaps couldn't language it or didn't feel the brave in the moment to do so. What a champion person for doing so. So good on her. And if she's catching up with this, we trust this helps her. Yeah. So, and the thousands of others who have this same thing. So first off, acknowledge yourself that you're having a human experience for a start. So welcome to the human world. Yeah. So at any one time in our lives, there are fears. So I happen to be, I love how the brain works. I love behaviour, and that's my passion. And I happen to be an NLP master practitioner and trainer. I teach people this. So I'm going to take a tiny little element out of the world of NLP, which is our brain, our language, and how we get our results.
So can you tell us what NLP is for those of us that are not familiar?
Yeah, so it's an exquisite body of knowledge, and the NLP stands for neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro being brain, linguistic being the language we speak verbally and non-verbally, and it can be loud or it can be quiet. And programming, which is the sequence we get our results in. So there's something happens for us to create results for ourselves. So it's a massive body of work that's come together from psychotherapists, psychologists, and you know, people have studied it over time. But there's a toolbox, if you like, and I want to take one little tiny little element of it and share it with you. But on that, I then want to add my own take of a strategy that I teach thousands of people to be able to get out of their own way. So I want to give you something of substance like with that too, not just talk about like this is what's happening. But first off, I just want to say, let's look at it in the world of seasons. Sometimes winter sets in, so winter, and if we look at how we're feeling in the space of an analogy like the seasons, winter can be flat, it can be cold, it can be dark, and it can be kind of doomy and gloomy. But spring always follows. Funny that. Spring always follows winter. Now, you think back on your timeline, for anyone who's having a challenge at any time, think back on your timeline of life, and when have you ever had a winter? If you're feeling like in a bit of space of winter, like it's cold, it's dark, it's negative, it's damp, that kind of thing, then look back at your timeline and go, when have I ever had a winter before? And did spring follow? Guess what? It probably did. You've had a challenge in your life before. You've had hard times in your life before. Every single human on this planet could dig deep and tell you a story. They absolutely could, but they came through it, and it was the lesson in it that they got. So in that respect, if you think about it, if I look back at my timeline and go, have I ever had a wintry feeling, a winter before? Yeah. Well, how did I get out of it? Because spring always follows. And spring, whether you realise it or not, or you realise it only now because you're looking back and going, oh yeah, I learned something from it. I had new growth. I had new buds. I had something appearing that changed how I went forward. So my first point I want to get across is spring always follows. So how you feel right now, there is a new growth and a new lesson from it. I'm a big believer in the teacher arrives when you're ready to learn, and your service with the podcast, Sam, there'll be different lessons from different people at different times that they just needed in that time. Yeah. So keep listening to, Sam's podcast here, because there'll be a moment where the lesson arrives just at the right moment for you, regardless of what the lesson is. Different people need different things at different time. So let's have a look at the self-sabotage question. So part of that is the beliefs that people are running in their head, the stories we tell ourselves. So it might be I'm not good enough, or people won't want to hear from me, or insert any one of little stories we can tell ourselves here. Now, there's something really powerful about our brain, and this is where I want to bring in the little NLP expertise, a little nugget of gold for you all. Our brain is actually following our commands. We can bring in information through our five senses. It's how we make sense of our world as humans. We bring in a lot of information, but we leave a lot out and only bring some of it in. And the thing is this, how is it that we bring some stuff in and leave some good stuff out? Because while bad is happening, so is good. While good is happening, so is bad. How is it that two people can view a same situation and one feels okay and the other feels despondent? Yep. It's because of our filters of what we bring in our brain. And here's the powerful thing. I just want to make sure that everybody gets this lesson. This is absolutely gold. At the back of your brain is a brainstem. In that brainstem lives a little thing called a RAS, Reticular Activating System. Perhaps you've heard of it. Now, its job is to listen to your conscious language, whether it's spoken out loud like we're doing now, or thought inside, and translate that to your brain so that it changes your filters. Now, I just want you to get this. If I say to myself, I'm stupid, I can't do this, my RAS pretty well says to my brain, she wants to do stupid today. And the brain goes, okay. So it will change the filters to allow me to observe and experience everything to prove I'm stupid.
Okay.
Now, wow. Powerful. Because if we speak to ourselves with disempowerment, and the lady who's self-sabotaging, who raised that question with you, I'll just do a little mind read here. It's not the first time she's self-sabotaged herself. She hasn't just started direct sales and self-sabotaged herself. There's other parts in life she has, perhaps relationships, perhaps finances, perhaps, communication. There's points where she's done it, because how you do anything is how you do everything. Yeah. But I wanted to know that there is a fix for this, because that champion woman who raised that with you has awareness. The minute you are aware that you're disempowering yourself, you now have the chance to do something about it. So first off, awareness, knowing that how I speak to myself makes a difference, and it changes my representation of the world. So how do we stop it? How do we control it? Well, we language what we want. So when we hear something disempowering, like I self-sabotage myself, or I'm so stupid, or my customers won't want to hear from me, or I'm useless at phone calls, or I'm crap at social media, or I don't understand Facebook, I can't do Facebook, I can't do this. All that stuff that we tell ourselves, the minute you have awareness, folks, great, brilliant, because now that's gold, because now you get to do something about it. And I want to teach you my 2-step brain champion technique, because the brain bully in your head is not real. It's a story you're telling yourself. So for the lady self-sabotaging or anything, I can't do Facebook, I can't learn social media, I'm too old to do social media, I'm too, ignorant, whatever. That moment that you hear yourself, from today onwards, folks, there's 2 steps. The first step after awareness is to go, thank you, I finished with you. Absolutely say it out loud or say it in your head. It's your brain bully. So put the stop sign up to it. The minute you put the stop sign up to it, what happens is you now get to language it like you want it. Now, really important, really, really important that you language it like you want it. Because if you don't, the neurons in your head that cause the little, they're like GPSs in your head, how we're going to behave, they're going to fire again if you don't replace it with something empowering. So I'll take it back to my example of I'm stupid, then I'll give an example for self-sabotage. So, oh, I'm so stupid. And I've noticed myself say it. Thank you, I finished with you. I notice I'm getting better at communicating with my customers today. Or I notice I'm getting better at connecting with people today. Language what you want. Then you have changed the ability to notice opportunity. Because the filters change. Very, very powerful. And I'll take it to the wonderful person who raised I self-sabotage myself. First off, powerful, powerful awareness. So now it's like the action she does when she recognises that you've just taught us something, Sam, and she goes, I know logically that's really wise and smart to do, and she finds herself stopping herself. That's the self-talk kicking in. And that's the moment she goes, thank you, I finished with you. I notice I'm getting better and better at social media. That is all she has to say to herself. Wow. I notice I'm getting better. The words I notice, super powerful, because the Raz now goes, she wants to get better at this. So the proof now starts to come in that you can.
Yep.
So, yeah. So it is about brain champion technique, 2 steps.
I love that. And it's one of those things that I think it has an instantly empowering result. I know that just as you're saying, and I'm thinking, I can see how even if I know we're not quite there yet, it's much more empowering than that I'm stupid talk or I'm bad at social media, which, let's face it, I'm hearing this every single day from people. So I love that so much. I've taken a bunch of notes while you've been talking because I'm going to use this stuff. I think that's great.
Please do, Sam. Yeah. So if you're doing, let's say the next webinar you're doing, someone comes in and says, I'm useless at this. That's their brain bully talking. Put the stop sign up to it. Thank you, I finished with you. What would you like to be? I'd like to be more competent at this. Or say, I notice I'm getting competent. Yeah. Because here's another, can I give you a little bonus tip to your listeners, Sam? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Because, goodness me, I could talk for 7 days.
I know. See, every time, I've just put this out there, every time we do an interview, what happens is we start talking and then we uncover some little nuggets of gold. And I watch the clock and I think we could go for 3 hours talking about this. I don't know if everyone wants to listen to it for 3 hours, but you end up going off on these great tangents. But it's the beauty of not completely, we don't always come into these podcasts knowing exactly what we're going to talk about, because I think by doing that we end up missing some real gold that people need to hear. So you go for it if you think.
Thank you. I guess with all your guests, just like all your guests, it uncovers their passion. It just it just reveals their passion of like making a difference to other people. So it's lovely. So thank you. I just want to give one little tip, because this is a common one in the world of direct sales. There are many stay-at-home parents who will have a home-based business as equally as there are people who aren't parents. So this works for everybody. There is a word that is not processed by your brain, and it's the word don't.
Okay.
Funny that. If I say to you, don't think of a pink giraffe, your brain has to, for a split second, go to the pink giraffe and imagine it, to not think of it. But the pink giraffe's already happened. So if you say to children, don't slam the door, don't spill the milk, don't trip, they slam the door, spill the milk and trip.
Yes. It's kind of like the reference, you know, if you're teaching a kid to ride a bike and you say, don't hit the rock, don't hit the rock, don't hit the rock, you're going to hit the rock.
Yeah, you're onto it. There you go. And it's because our brain doesn't process the word don't. So if you've said don't hit the rock, the command to their brain is hit the rock. So they hit the rock. Yeah.
So are you going to help us with this? Because right now I'm thinking of all the times just today I've told my kids, don't do this, don't do that. So
yes.
What am I supposed to say?
So while you're recording, they're doing all that stuff.
Yeah, I can hear them out here. I hope you guys can't hear, but I can hear. We've just had a very similar, we did an interview earlier this morning with someone else who said they had their kids screaming outside the door. We couldn't hear it, but it is just the reality right now. I can hear them out there with remote control something. Just outside the door.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, I am helping you with this. So if you hear yourself come out with the word don't, be careful that you're using it with volition, because you don't want to know this, do you? Which means you do want to know this. Okay. When you hear yourself say the words don't, pick it up and quickly fix it to remember. Hang on to the glass, close the door quietly, language it like you want it, watch the step. Go around the rock, you know, so language it like you want it. Okay. Really, really important. Now, you've got to pick yourself up on the word don't, because in the world of direct sales, I've seen thousands of people do social media posts, don't forget the special ends. You've commanded them to forget the special ends.
Yep.
Wow. And, or if you're a team leader, don't forget, you know, you've got to get your orders in by midnight. You've commanded them to forget, and you're thinking, where are the orders? Yep. So, so the word don't, here's another one for people in direct sales, because I work with behaviour and I teach behaviour on so many different levels, that I actually know that 35% of the population will say the words and utter the words, I don't want to be pushy.
Yes.
Okay, let's take don't out of that sentence. And what you've told your brain is, I want to be pushy. No wonder you feel sick in the guts. No wonder you feel sick and like weird, because your integrity says, logically, I don't want to be pushy. But the brain is saying, oh, she wants to be pushy. So it's making you feel weird. So what do you want instead? If you hear yourself say it, thank you, I've finished with you. I notice I want to give great service to my customers today. I notice I want to make it all about education and care. I notice I want to connect with people today.
Yep.
So language it like you want it. And please, folks, if there's one thing that you put into your world out of today's lesson, is make sure you own that brain champion technique. Brain bully, put the stop sign up and language it like you want it.
Yep. And it's so true. It's like we have got two, I think I've got more than two voices in my head. Don't think I'm crazy, I swear. There's these little versions of Sam. I like to call them channels. Because you can almost pick when your brain switches between channels. And I was chatting with an amazing speaker in the direct selling industry the other day, who said to me, we're having this conversation about our crazy voice. You've got your voice that you know is saying things that it should not be saying to you. It's speaking to you in a way that when you really listen to it, you would never, ever, ever let anyone else speak to you that way. But then you've got another part of your brain that's the logical part, and then you've got another part that's the reasoning part that goes, you know what, you guys need to be quiet because this doesn't make sense what you're saying. And she said, you've got to listen to the song by Megan Trainor, Evil Twin. And so it's hilarious, very funny, but it's about that, you know, I didn't do it. It's, you know, don't blame me. But it's so true. I mean, when we really stop and think about how we speak to ourselves, because we're so used to speaking to ourselves that way that we don't pay any attention to it. But when we really stop and we think, would I put up with that if anyone else was speaking to me that way? Would I ever treat anyone else like that?
That's right.
And that's when I think what you've just said is so powerful, because taking some ownership over the way we speak to ourselves is probably something that we all really need to be doing.
That's right. And the classic thing is awareness comes first. So that conversation you've had when you're quite aware of the head, the voice, I can let you know, the more you quieten the bully, there's a time in your life that, you know, the more you scratch that record and stop the old tune from playing, a new record plays. For those of you who are a wee bit younger, a record's a black vinyl thing with music on it. The tune. So when you have awareness, that is gold. So decades and decades ago, when I was in my 20s, I beat myself up with that voice in my head, something chronic. And these days, because I've interrupted it enough times, it's no longer a bully, it's actually a champion. Can I still debrief myself to do better? Of course I can, but it's how I speak to myself now. So once upon a time, it might have been beating myself up, but now, thank you, I finished with you. I notice I'm a good person with a good heart who loves making a difference for people. So, you know, honouring, having gratitude for who you are and what you honour and what you're good at. So you're a good woman, Sam, so quieten that voice. Thank you, I finished with you. I notice I'm doing the best I can with what I know at the time, and I'm getting even better every day. Imagine saying that to yourself. How powerful that could be.
How empowering. Yeah, I love it. So good.
Yeah.
So, Bev, can you tell us a little bit about, you know, how people can, you know, reach out or connect with you if they're wanting to know a little bit more about what you do and what you've got to offer and so on?
Yeah, sure. So my company, my business is called BU, BEYOU, and it's a play on my initials, Beverley Unitt. It's about being genuine, it's being about authentic, and it's about being, you know, if you're a, you know, you value integrity, you value making a difference to other people, you love your product, folks. You love your product, you want to get it out there. The only thing that stops you after you learn what to do, the only thing that can stop you is what you're thinking inside. Is it empowering you or is it pulling you back? So if you go to my website, www.bu, that's BEYOU, successcoaching.com.au, what you'll find in there is if you're in direct selling, if you're in the direct sales world or home-based business world, you're going to find a little tab there that says DSA Consultants. You go to that, and in that tab, in that page, is a whole page of stuff exclusively for DSA. And it's a consultant training. It's free. It's 45 minutes with me where you can hop on a webinar and you learn stuff. It's free. For leaders, there's a different conversation because we need to have a different conversation. I actually have a leadership program. It's a mentoring program, and they work with me. I work with them, and they work with me for 12 months. And the idea of that is there's a whole lot of leaders out there who are great trainers, Sam. Bless their little cotton socks. They're doing the best they can with what they know. They can learn from other people. They can learn some great training through their own company. But the big gap is how to coach. Because training is imparting a skill, but coaching is influencing someone to use the skill they've been trained in. So I elevate leaders to be outstanding coaches, and the leaders that I work with in my private mentoring program are getting great results. So but first, before we even go there, that's not something for everybody because I don't let everybody in. Please take advantage of the free training. Go to the DSA Consultants tab and have a look at that. If you're fascinated with NLP, I have bonus training there on NLP, on learning things with your mind, mindset and motivation, because I have a lot of people outside of the world of direct sales who come to me for helping get themselves out of their way or helping elevate their skills to help their teams.
Fantastic. So I have had a look at some of those free resources, and you've got some amazing emails that you can subscribe to, etc. So I definitely highly recommend that everyone gets in and has a look at that. We'll put the link in the show notes. So if anyone wants to get to that link and get some of those free resources, definitely take up that opportunity. So thank you, Bev, for putting that out there. And it's been really awesome chatting with you today. I really appreciate what you've been able to impart. And I think that, again, we've gone off on a tangent, but I don't mind that. I think what you've said today is a really good reminder that we actually do have an element of control, more so than probably what we've ever realized before, over our own behavior. And it's not hard. It doesn't take much to reprogram that and change that. And you and I have done a lot of work in that space. But for those that are at the very beginning of that journey, you could see the light. I really do have to sort my blinds out in here.
You're doing great.
Heaven is coming down. So I just want to encourage everybody to understand that it's one small step. You don't have to go in and do, really expensive personal development courses to get some results in, dealing with that self-sabotage or your mindset. It takes little steps. And just what you say to yourself is so, so important, because it then also transfers onto the people around you as well. And I know that even with my kids, the words that I say to myself, it's transparent, and you hear them starting to use those same words about themselves, and you think, why are they saying these things? Why are they calling themselves stupid? Why are they thinking they're not good enough and they're not capable of learning? And I'm, really paying particular attention to this right now as we're homeschooling, because I'm able to hear the way they speak to themselves when they learn. And when I stop and really think about it, this is the language that I've been using to myself for years. And
I'm proud of you for picking that up, Sam. I'm super proud of you for picking that up. So just very quickly, that self-sabotage language, the children's language, for everyone who's listening, what your children speak at home, the self-sabotage that lady on your webinar raised about, it's a learned behaviour. We're not born with it, which means we can unlearn it.
Absolutely.
So it's the brain bully. Put the stop sign up and language it like you want it, and turn your brain bully to a brain champion.
I love it so much. This has been so great. Thank you so much, Bev. We really appreciate your time. Make sure everyone you get in and check out those links. And in the meantime, Bev, take care of yourself. And I hope we can do this again. I think it would be great to get you back in at some point and open that can of worms a little bit further if everyone's keen to learn a bit more about it. So
I'd love to, Sam. I think, as I said way back at the beginning, I think it's an honour to be having a conversation with you, and it's with great delight that I say thank you for inviting me to have a chat with your followers.
It's an absolute pleasure. We'll speak to you again soon, Bev. Thanks.
Bye for now.
Bye.